Good morning. How are you doing today? Good to see you all, lovely people. Well, even though I can't see you, one odd thing to say. It's good, it's good for you to see me, or something along those lines. Anyway, there you go. Um, Good to be here. You know how I often say that this is completely unscripted, and sometimes it's kind of quite obvious that I have a little bit of an idea in my head about what I'm going to say. Well, because sometimes I do, and it makes sense to do that sometimes, doesn't it? And but today I've got no idea what I'm about to say. Well, I've got a couple of. I kind of thought, yeah, that'll do. I'll talk about that a bit, and I was going to talk about something quite personal that's going on for me at the minute. Now, if you can see smoke wafting into shot. Uh, Special effects. Don't worry too much about that, because I'm fine. I'm not on fire. I've got these new little incense cones, and they're dead smoky, but they smell nice. Um, so sometimes you know what you need to do. I thought that was really interesting because we do, don't we? Often talk about the fact that there's a disconnect between knowing what we need to do and not doing it. So, if any of you know me, you'll know that I find my weight a challenge. I don't find nutrition a challenge, particularly. I think I eat well. Thought I ate quite well. And so I'm going to talk about that's what I'm going to talk about today. But so I've been on a bit of a journey, and I was talking to somebody the other day about what I'm doing, about what I'm going to tell you about, and they were like, "Well, how long have you been on this journey for?" And I was like, "Well, since I was about 14." So it's this. I've always felt I was heavier than I wanted to be. Now, I'm not kind of into kind of saying, you have to be a particular body size or shape or whatever. Not into that at all. You have to be, as long as you're comfortable and happy with yourself and your health's not being impacted by anything, then I think happy days, crack on. Do you know what I mean? I'm not happy with how I feel, how my clothes fit, all of those kind of things. So I'm kind of always kind of searching for kind of what's going on here. And yes, I want to lose some weight. That's kind of how it is. I'm trying my hardest. Well, I think I'm trying my hardest. I think I do all right. And I've had one or two. Well, I had one health problem that means I've had to pull back on the exercise, which hasn't helped. So anyway, in all of this, looking for ways to kind of figure out what's going on, because giving up alcohol completely, well, pretty much completely, the odd single glass of red wine on an occasional evening, giving up the caffeinated coffee, pretty much, maybe one coffee on the morning, that's it. And I was expecting, the weight to just drop off. Oh, stop drinking alcohol, the weight will just drop off. And it didn't. And so I embarked on, I tiptoed into Slimming World, which I've tiptoed into before. And I then came across, Christine came across this Zoe thing. Don't know whether you've seen this. And I'm in the early stages of that, and my results have just dropped today. So, I'm not going to go into how the Zoe thing works. You can go and look that up. Essentially, they send you some cookies that you eat and you track your blood sugar, and then you send them a blood sample, you send them a stool sample, you send all these things, and they analyze these things, and then they kind of figure out how your body responds to different foods. Very clever. How your body responds to different foods in terms of if I've got this right, your blood sugar response, glucose response, insulin response, and how you respond, blood fats, I think is how they phrase it. How does your body cope with fat, and how good's your gut biome? And I've talked about gut biomes before, and the health of all of those bugs that are in our stomach that help us to kind of with our immune system and that kind of thing. So there's all of that going on. So anyway, I got my results today, and turns out that my glucose, insulin thing, blood sugars, fine. The way I deal with fat, fine. Which, now, here's the thing. None of this comes as any surprise. And this is the point that I want to make in general. sometimes we know what we know instinctively, intuitively. We read our bodies, we read the room, we read our workflow, all that. We read all of these things, and we know what to do. We just don't do it. So anyway, so my blood sugar stuff is fine. My response to what I eat is fine, largely. I'll come to that. The way I deal with fat, fine. My gut biome, in good order, very good. Diversity of foods, all that kind of thing. And that just leaves the quality of my diet. And while I think I eat really well, one of the things that Tim Spector, who's the professor guy who's behind the Zoe system, the Zoe analysis, the Zoe research, because it is a research project at the end of the day. One of the things they get you to try and do, and it's what I'm trying to do this week, and I say try, and it's proven quite easy, is to eat more than 30 different plants. And plants is quite broad in that it's fruit, vegetables, as you'd expect, but also nuts and legumes, that kind of thing. So it's all of those kind of things, lentils, beans, all that kind of stuff. They all class in terms of this as plants. I only started it yesterday, and I'm up to 20 already, and that's without eating anything largely different. So that's why I kind of say I was surprised when it said my diet wasn't particularly good. So then you dig into that, and the data they give you is amazing. They give you loads of great stuff, and then they give you loads of advice on what to do. And here's the thing. This is the thing that I know without shadow of a doubt affects me, that I keep doing, and that's eating bread. So while you are within the first stages of this Zoe thing, the first 3 weeks or so, 2 weeks, I think it's been 2 weeks coming up with 3. It's about 3 weeks now, I think. But you're analysing stuff for the first 2 largely, I think it was. You track your meals, and then they rank your meals. And you have to aim for a score of, I don't know what the scoring system is like, I'll read more about that. You have to aim for a score of 75. And I get to that or near that with most of my meals, except the ones that have bread in them. That's really interesting. And then I looked at some of the meals they recommend. So they have lots of recipes that you can then follow, and they score them. They score them generally, but then they analyze them against your biology. So I was flicking through them, and I thought there was a one which was kind of spicy beans on toast or whatever. And I thought, well, that's a contradiction. They've just told me that surely this is tailored to me. That's a contradiction, because I'm not. Bread is obviously a problem for me systemically. But then you go into it, and it says this is good for you from a good bio point of view, not good for you from a blood sugar point of view, because that's the thing that the bread seems to spike and plummet. Get that on your graph rather than kind of this. And the point of that is, for years and years, I've been saying, I'm sure most of my tiredness and lack of losing weight is to do with bread. If I have a few days where I eat no bread, I lose weight. If I have a few days where I eat bread, I put weight on. And I know that. But it's took me doing the Zoe thing to demonstrate to me that what I instinctively knew about my body, what I instinctively knew about how I go about my business and react, was right all along. And that's my point for today. My point for today, we know what's good for us. We know what we need to do. We just blooming struggle to do it, don't we? And that's really interesting. I remember one of the books I've read around this kind of thing is that it's not just about willpower. Actually, there's this thing, isn't there, that people who, I don't know, people who do anything, people who are overweight, whatever that means, people who smoke, people who, eat takeaways all the time, all that kind of thing. There's this idea that they're failing in some way, isn't there? Sometimes the chips are stacked against people, aren't they? Sometimes the world doesn't help and support people. And the book that I read, I can't remember which one it was now, it's a while back, said that if it was just about willpower, we'd all be doing all the things we wanted to do, because people have got bags of willpower. I have bags of willpower. But then, it disappears for some reason, or I do the things that I know I shouldn't do. So that's really interesting. Anyway, so I'm doing the Zoe thing. I'm going to track my meals with the Zoe app. I don't know why it's called Zoe. I'll find that out. I'm going to track my meals with that, and I'll keep you posted. That's just an interesting one. It's not something I usually talk about. I don't usually talk about nutrition because it's not my area of expertise, really. That's why I usually stick to the productivity stuff, because I feel more comfortable there. But it's interesting. It's an ongoing project for me to see where I get with this. So yeah, there you go. That's what I'm doing. I did wonder for today. Here's something for you to think about for today, though, from a productivity point of view, because I've had to think about this, and I think I'm going to give this a go. Now I know it's been Bank Holiday Monday and stuff, but let's the whole mantra, this Friday is the most important day of next week. Let's have a think about that. What could you have done better on Friday of last week as you wound up your working week that would have made today better? Track today and maybe tomorrow, and have a think about what could you have done better at the end of last week that would have meant you got onto top quality productivity this week. Maybe what could you have done over the weekend recovering for this week? So have a think about that, have a reflect on that, and see where we get. Anyway, lovely to talk to you all, and I'm going to crack on with work now. 9 o'clock here on the outskirts of the fair city of Durham. So I'm going to crack on and get on with some stuff. Nice to talk to you. Take care.